Sounds
Chris,
good.
nice to have you on.
Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, look, Chris, I know you're kind of one of the long-term like OGs, original members of the profile method. So it's good to be chatting with you. So first of all, like just give us a bit of background, like where were you before the method?
Kind of, I would say lost. Um, I got into trading probably 3 years or so before I joined the profile method. Um, Trying to just teach myself off YouTube and books and a lot of trial and error, a lot of, I guess, wasted time. Um, then I decided I needed some kind of structure and guidance to learn and kind of, expedite the process, I guess.
Cool, cool. And so you were you trading any particular strategy, or were you like everyone else, like looking at indicators, all the other good stuff?
Pretty much like everyone else, every newbie mistake. Um, for some reason, new traders get attracted to Forex.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first thing I got into and really had no clue whatsoever about what I was doing. And then I've consumed pretty much every bit of trading content on YouTube. I've got an entire closet full of books for just different products, methods. I started Forex, then stocks, then options, and then finally found my way to futures. And I went through all the mechanical indicators, or the RSI's at 70, it's overbought and I need to short it. Um, Tried the pure price action, the just kind of generic support and resistance, trend following, mean reversion, pretty much everything. But I couldn't stay like focused on one thing, if that makes sense. Something would not work for me, and then I would want to add to it, and oh, now I've got to learn this, and then it just kind of became a mess.
I relate. In fact, I was actually looking through my YouTube history not so long ago, and I scrolled the way back to, 2020 or 2021, and saw some of the stuff that I was watching, and I looked at it and was like, "What were you doing?" Yeah,
Yeah.
it's funny looking back. So, how did you come across Korbs then through all of that?
So I got interested in the volume profile. It, like I said, I've watched and consumed a ton of trading content. I kind of got onto the volume profile because I noticed the traders who use volume profile were the ones that were, at least in the videos, oh, if price does this, then this is likely to happen. Um, so that kind of got me interested, and I thought it was, at that time, I'd kind of decided a more discretionary approach was really the only way that I saw that I was ever going to be able to like be consistent at all with it. Assessing market conditions, context, stuff like that. So just through watching YouTube on volume profile, I came across it was when he used to do the daily profile shows.
Yeah.
And it took it didn't take very long for me to kind of get hooked onto those, and I'd go back and watch the old ones. And again, it was always, the fact that he said, hey, I went into the day, my idea was if price did this, then this was likely to happen. This was a likely target, which stuck out because I never had any way to call targets other than just back testing like a mechanical, like 2-to-1 reward to risk. I had no freaking clue where I thought the market was going to go. But I also liked when after he would discuss his initial plan, um, when he would show his trades. And I was always kind of wary of, watching people on YouTube or anything like that, because I know stuff can be faked. one thing I like too was, he would show, okay, initially I tried this and it didn't work, but then with this new information, I flipped the script and went short and that worked. And Korbs was probably the first guy on YouTube I ever really saw that showed a losing trade.
Yeah.
And even there were days where he was never able to flip the script and make it work. And he just, hey, I took a rough day today. I had a loss. And that got me interested in him because it came across as very genuine and, which obviously after being a member of the volume profile method for over a year now, like I know Korbs is genuine, but that was like the first thing, like, okay, I think this guy is different and really does seem like he knows what he's talking about. So I watched, I think, every video he had ever posted, at that point, and subscribed, and everything that he posted from there on out was, up front on my YouTube app, and I always watched it. So.
Yeah, same. There was a big difference, and I remember we joined around the same time, I think, but at the time, like, it made a big difference. Like, you were seeing these guys that were using volume profile, you had like Korbs and even SMB and Axia, and the difference between those guys and the YouTubers sitting in their bedroom teaching you how to buy and sell when moving averages cross, like, it was a different kettle of fish altogether. So yeah, no, I get it. So when you joined the profile method, then how long did it take you to kind of start getting familiar with it, or what was your journey like from when you kind of joined?
I thought I had a pretty decent, I guess, like foundation of background knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So it didn't take long, and honestly, the concepts were really easy to grasp. I think the course is really well put together, and I think Korbs does a really good job of kind of like dumbing it down to, like a new person's level, right? It's not overwhelming. It's easy to digest and understand and retain. There were some concepts in there that were backwards from what the guy in his mom's basement had taught me on YouTube. Like it blew my mind when he teaches, you use the high volume nodes as targets, but not entries. Whereas I always thought that would be a good place for an entry as support resistance. So that kind of blew my mind. It took me, I'll say, maybe a week to get through the whole course. Once I started it, I didn't really want to get off. I wanted to just, get everything from the course up here, and, wrote out my notes and stuff like that. So I started trading it pretty quickly and getting on the streams and kind of seeing him actually put it into action. So
yeah, and we'll talk about the streams pretty soon. But one thing that always intrigues me is because I know my experience with this, but coming from the kind of retail experience that we had to this, and learning about, like, the volume profile, the footprint, order flow, like, how did you find that?
I think that was just when I finally realized that just coming up with indicator combinations and, that really mechanical kind of strategy mindset, and then trying to back test that 500 times and realizing, like, oh, this doesn't work. And then I realized too, I had no idea how to like assess market context or conditions. I never was able to generate any kind of like directional bias before I got into the volume profile and all that. And it eventually I just got to the volume profile, excuse me, and the order flow, and I like that. It's like, initially I discovered like the volume with price action, but it wasn't the volume at the price, it was volume for the candlestick. But then once I did discover it, it's kind of an insight into what's going on in real time, where exactly the orders are coming in at, and what price is significant. Um, so that, yeah, I kind of stumbled into it. And then once I did, was like, all right, I think this is, if I am ever going to be able to, do this long term and be successful and consistent at it, I think this is how one would do that, especially, you know, on our end, like not trading for any bank or institution or anything like that.
Yeah. One thing I've said it to a few people lately, one thing that just blew me away with the training the first time I watched it, and it still sticks with me to this day, is especially with our VWAP charts, our weekly and our monthly charts. We never need to ever wonder by looking at that now whether price is going up or down. Like we have a bias, it might not be right 100% of the time, but then nothing is. But we have a bias formed just by looking at a couple of charts. That blew me away.
Yeah, and it doesn't take 3 hours of analysis in the
Yeah.
morning to, oh, I think it'll go up. Um, and that was, you hear about, oh, the market's ranging 80% of the time, I think is the number that gets thrown out all the time. It's only trending 20. And then that kind of got me to, well, wouldn't it be nice to be able to identify when conditions are right for a trend versus when they're ranging? And that's kind of what let me into volume profiling in general. But yeah, that's made a huge difference. At the very least, like just filtering stuff out, and like there's been plenty of days where I don't have a great idea. Maybe there's conflicting information on the time frames. So at the very least, I can just sit on my hands instead of trying to take some nonsense trades and just taking unnecessary losses.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely helps with that. Yeah. Cool. So I know you mentioned briefly earlier the trading live experience and the coaching. And you've obviously been attending both for a long time. How have you found those, and how have they like kind of added value to your trading?
Well, one, it's, joining any kind of course or group. Like one of my big concerns was, oh, is this just scam? Is this, someone who doesn't actually know how to trade but knows how to market? So one, just like seeing Korbs place the trades, and seeing the P&L, one, it's just proof that it works. So that's something I fall back on, anytime I get frustrated or discouraged, is, well, I can see that it works. Um, it's been really helpful trying to compare. Like I always come up with my plan for the day, my ideas before I get on the stream, and then I'll kind of compare that to, when Korb says, all right, this is what I'm looking at, I'll kind of compare it to that. Most of the time the ideas line up, and I realized once my ideas started to line up with his more, I was making progress and getting better at it. But even like the trade management, when when he's in a trade, just kind of seeing, all right, where does he want to scale out, or when's he reading it to where, okay, the conditions are really good, this is looking really good for me, I'm not going to scale here, I'm not going to take that first contract off, I'm going to let it run a bit, or sizing up, just seeing how someone who actually makes a living doing it actually does it. That was, I don't really know anybody in my personal life who trades. So I've never had anyone who can actually show me, and it's behind the scenes. It's not just what someone posts on YouTube, and it's fake, or they just went back and replayed their charts to make it look like, oh, look how awesome I am. I caught this move. It's, the good, bad, and the ugly.
I was literally just about to say you do see it
Yeah,
all in those rooms. Yeah, it's great. It is
like
good.
I think honestly what really sold me on it was I think the first bad day Corbs had, because just like I was also having a bad day, so I was yelling at the computer and frustrated, and then I hear him in the background, cursing at the monitor, and and he's really transparent and just, hey guys, I got smacked today, or even seeing some of, I would say, like the mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
He's very open. I remember one day where I just could not understand why he was holding this trade in the red. And someone finally asked him, like, why are you still holding this? Or like, do you have any reasons to hold this? And he just, not a good one,
I remember that day too.
Yeah. And that I was laughing like hell, honestly. And just seeing that, like I said, seeing how a real person who's really, being successful at it trades, and yeah, so a lot of value, like I said, it's not just some course, and it also, I think it really does speak to like Korbs as a coach and a teacher. The fact that it's not just, oh, here's some course, and then I'm never gonna I'm never gonna talk to you again, or I'm never gonna, help you. We do the trading live experience 3 times a week, and there's 1 or 2 coaching calls
Yeah.
a week. I think he even upped it to 2, the pre-market prep
Yeah.
on Tuesdays. He puts in a lot of time and effort, and it's been really impressive too how patient he is fielding the questions. And so even around his own trading, like I expected it to be, honestly, like he's just so focused on his trading, making his money, that, all right, I'll get to your question, and then just never come back to it. But he's been super helpful. There's been, I've been able to kind of realize there's like certain areas that I'm struggling with, and reach out on the coaching calls, or even just in the chat on the trading live experience when we're kind of waiting for a setup, and super helpful. Yeah, those streams are, I think, probably the most valuable part about joining. I'd say the course was awesome, but I think the streams have done even more. Plus,
Yeah.
it's a good environment. Everyone's been cool.
Yeah.
Korbs is funny when we're not like drilled into it. I was surprised at how like just laid back and kind of goofy he gets sometimes. So
Yeah. Yeah. I think the fact that we still join, years later, it's just, it says it all, doesn't it?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And what about the student community? I know you're a regular in there for trade reviews and chatting. How have you found that?
That's been great too. Love the environment. I think as long as I've been in it, um, I've never really experienced or seen any kind of negativity. I do like that a lot of people seem to kind of bring their own background and styles to it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's cool to see like the different mindsets. You have some that just don't like holding trades, so they'll close quicker. Incorporating the different, like, other strategies and methods in with the volume profile. I personally don't do that because I didn't have any decent
Yeah.
strategy coming into it, but just kind of seeing, even though pretty much all of us are trading essentially the same methodology, the volume profile method, everyone kind of makes it their own.
Yeah.
And just seeing the different ideas, it's cool. Everyone's really supportive. It actually, I had no idea that people actually read my trade reviews until I took a little break, and then I posted it. Hey, it's so
Yeah.
great that you're posting these again. I've missed these. And I was like, oh wow, that's awesome. Like, that's alone is motivation to stay with it, and keep trying it. So
Yeah, because your trade reviews, you do go into detail, which I love, because you do get the odd guy that will just take a screenshot of their entry and exit, and that'll be them done. But you give a nice explanation, which I
yeah,
love.
that was something I decided to do because I was like, if I can't explain it,
Mm-hmm.
then it's a bad trade. And like I said a while back, I decided I'm gonna post every trade, like whether it's just a stupid impulse trade that goes horrible or it's a great well thought out trade. Um, One, to hold myself accountable because like if I make a really dumb trade, then I'm gonna look dumb in front of you guys. So maybe I'll stop doing dumb stuff.
I know the profile method teaches us quite a few different setups, but I know you, like myself, you tend to like an overnight high or an overnight low fade. Is this, what would that be your favorite setup, or what's your favorite one in there?
I do really like the overnight higher low fade if we've got a decent gap
Mm-hmm.
above or below, like in the opposite, direction. I think that presents a really good reward to risk opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Other than just, I would say if everything's lining up, say the weekly and monthly or right above value area high holding, and then I can get a pullback to the developing days value area low just because that just give it room to run. And there's a lot of places to scale, a lot of simple targets, right? You don't have to overthink it. Like I know taking that setup, mitigate risk at VWAP, take number two off at value area high, and then usually there's a target above that where okay, if it gets here, then I'm taking my third lot off, and it'll be a huge win. Versus the risk side for that would just okay, if we're above value area high on the higher time frames, I'm not too worried about it just tanking down. But all right, like if it just holds outside the developing days value area low, then the trade's invalidated. I'll lose a few points, but if I'm right, then I end up making four times that easily.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's worth it. Yeah,
yeah.
cool, cool. So, what would have been the main challenges then that you faced when you started?
I definitely trading around my job. When I started, I was working a night shift. So I went in, I'm on, East Coast US. So I'd go in at 8:30 at night. I'd get off at 6:30 in the morning. So after that is kind of hard to stay up till 9:30 and then be focused and trade. So initially I was only really catching the afternoon sessions, and then on my off days I'd go back and kind of watch some of the streams and just see how it went. Um, I also so now I'm working a afternoon to evening shift, but it starts at 1:15 in the afternoon, goes to 11:30 at night. So I can trade the morning sessions, which is great, but I pretty much have to be off the screens by 11. I got the dogs to take care of. I got to make myself breakfast, get my stuff together. I got to go to the gym and squeeze a workout in before work. So it's just very like from the time my feet hit the ground in the morning until I lay down at night, it's just go go go, right? It's constant. Um, so there's been times where I see this setup. Maybe we've got like I hate getting 9:45, 10 o'clock news, right? Because then there's just no way. And sometimes I have to wait for that news volatility to kind of figure itself out. And then by that time, the initial balance is about to set, right? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so it can be hard. Um, or I might take a loss or two, and then ultimately my idea plays out, but it happened at 11:15 and I wasn't able to catch it. Sometimes I'm in a winning trade and I just can't hold it because I need to get off the screens. It's also just with work, it's a huge obstacle. So I'm a police officer in a big city, so it's super high stress. It can be very difficult to balance like the mental aspect of it. Because if something terrible happened at work, I'm already kind of mentally, fighting that battle, trying to deal with that. And then it's like I get on the screens and it can be hard to focus sometimes. It can be, if I lose a couple trades and I'm already struggling with something that happened at work, it's just like an extra kick in the nuts. And then, it just kind of compounds on the frustration and the burnout. Um, so it's just that's my biggest thing.
And I know from the last time we spoke, you've kind of got a way of balancing that now with your shift work, and you're probably a bit more comfortable in front of the screens. But also what I'd like to touch on is you've kind of got a 5-year plan, am I right in saying? Or like what's the kind of future plans with this? Where do you want to go with trading and your job? And
Yeah, so the goal that I set for myself a little while back was to be able to quit my job and live off trading by the time I'm 35. So I just turned 29. So I've got, the 6 years, which sometimes that stresses me out, and I'm like, how are you ever going to be able to, live off trading if you're still doing this? But then I also will walk it back and remember, like, you do have 6 years, right? I don't need to make 100 grand today.
yeah.
I've got 6 years, just stay with it. And, um,
I think that's probably one of the biggest mistakes that people make coming into this because of all the marketing that is out there, and I speak to all the new traders that come through, they want this in the next 6 months and they think that the 100K a month is coming very soon. But what you've done there, and it's something that took me probably too long to work out, was when you stretch out the time scale and you put something realistic like 3 to 5 years on it, all that pressure of having to perform and having to get it right straight away just goes. And that's been seen, I believe, in your consistency, like what the trade reviews that we see, you're consistent, you're in the group, you haven't given up yet, you're still going. How do you feel like your journey has progressed? Do you feel like you're on track towards that? Are you happy with where you are?
oh yeah, definitely. Obviously I'd like to be a little farther ahead, but who wouldn't? Um, I do think I actually had no idea I was one of the longest still in the group. That made me laugh when you told me that. Which I guess I take it as a good thing,
Yeah.
that I like to view it as I'm sticking with it, not just everyone else got super successful and didn't need the group anymore. Because if I was able to live off this, I would still be in the group because I like it and I like you guys. But yeah, I feel definitely feel on track. Kind of where I'm at now is I've got, kind of able to isolate my trading into a couple different segments, I guess, right? So the first one was kind of the context and reading it, and then it was coming up with the trade ideas. Um, I felt like I've done pretty well with the trade ideas for a while now. Kind of the last, what I feel like you're like the last missing pieces that once I get those figured out, I'll be set is one, just reading the order flow in real time. Like it's easy to say if this level holds or if this level breaks, price is likely to go here. But then reading it in real time, is it holding? Is it not? Kind of try not to get sucked in all the tricks and the foolery. And then just kind of the same principle, but once the trade is open, where do I need to scale out? Is this just a pullback or is this a reversal? Do I hold through this drawdown or is this a sign that my trade's failed and I need to take it off? That's like like I said, the last piece to where I think once I really get a good handle on that, then I don't really see anything else kind of getting in the way. Um,
Yeah, I think that is the evolving trader, you know, and you are at that point now where it's more refinement and optimization. You know, you've got the method there, you've got your strategy, you've got kind of all of the basics, everything that you need, and it's now just getting that kind of, yeah, the refinement done. I think that's a big place to be.
I think that's the time consuming part too.
Yeah.
You know, it's easy to just go check my notes or watch through a video on the course again, but because you know you've got to trade enough to where you've got a statistically relevant set of data to look at to identify where am I weak, you know, am I cutting my winners short, am I holding my losers too long? Like you've got to have enough trades to go back and look through that, and then once you identify it, it's coming up with how could I improve on that, then implementing that, then you've got to go back and see if it's working, or you know. So that's where we're at. But
The hardest part.
yeah, it is.
So, like, Kelly, if you had to pick one thing out of the profile method, it could be anything, the coaching, the trading live, the course, the community. What would you say has been the most kind of beneficial for you?
I'll say the trading live streams. That's kind of a double because you get access to the community and to Korbs, and
Yeah.
like I said, just seeing him do it for real, do it live, you know, that I think has been the most valuable.
Cool. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. And really then just to finish up, Chris, what your honest opinion, having been part of this for so long, if there was someone sitting on the fence right now, they had maybe, you know, spoken with one of us or seen the course, and they're maybe just not quite sure if it's right for them, what would you say to that person?
I would say if you were, especially if you're kind of at the same position where I was, where you're consuming content but not learning, to where there's no direction or focus or anything like that, I would say that, you know, Korbs and the profile method, one, I like the strategy, I like the methodology, but the structure behind it, the continued coaching and help, um, I definitely think it's worth it to, you know, if you do want to take it seriously and, you know, do this for more than just a hobby to watch YouTube videos, but if you want to take it seriously, do it for real, and eventually be able to make a living off of it. I think that it's a no brainer to just take the leap. I was nervous too. I was really hesitant. You know, I was always worried about, is this going to be a scam? Is it just going to be a huge, you know, waste of money and time? But it's not. It's definitely worth it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah. And you know what? I've spoken to loads of people who have come through the profile method, and they've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on courses. And I literally thank myself. So I just feel so blessed that Korbs was maybe the second person that I stumbled upon. And I haven't needed to invest in another course since. You know, it's just
Yeah.
like literally everything that you need is there. You need go no further.
Yeah. So that I was actually hell bent for a while when you know, for a while after I started that I'm never paying for a course. I'm never doing it. Like I'm going to teach myself. And then I kind of realized like, well, you don't know how to teach yourself because you don't do this, right? Like I definitely needed the guidance and all that. So yeah, definitely worth it. And I think that I'm happy with my decision. And you know, I think if anyone was looking for a course where this is all you need and you can develop and all that, then this would easily be the recommendation that I make.
Cool. Cool. Well, Chris, I think we'll finish up there. I've loved that conversation. Yeah, it has been just like our little journey through the profile method, just all in one. So thank you so much for coming on. And I look forward to just seeing the trade reviews and the successes that I know will be coming in the near future.
I'll be there.
Brilliant. Thank you once again, Chris. We'll speak soon.
All right. Yes, ma'am. Have a good one.
Brilliant.